Switzerland truly feels like it's straight out of a fairy tale. Home to the stunning landscapes that inspired The Lord of the Rings, the most vibrant blue water that we've ever seen, and modern trains and cable cars seamlessly woven into it all, Switzerland is a place that belongs on every travel bucket list. With 3 distinct regions, each offering its own language, culture, and cuisine, along with breathtaking views at seemingly every turn, there's so much to discover in this idyllic country. Come with us to experience the grandeur of it all and show you how to plan the perfect trip to Switzerland.
Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky. I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day. Cause I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. Cause I found my way.
Just before we left for this trip, we found out something that would change our lives forever. Rachel was pregnant. Unsure if we should actually go due to some pretty intense morning sickness, we decided to go for it, knowing that it might be our last opportunity for quite some time to travel with just the 2 of us. Excited to see if it would live up to all the hype, we boarded our flight to Zurich.
After arriving in Zurich, we checked into our Airbnb and then went straight downtown to jump in the Limmat River since it was a super warm day. Running through the heart of Zurich, jumping in this picturesque river was recommended by our Swiss friends as a must-do activity in Zurich. Jumping in and letting the current push you down the river was both exhilarating and relaxing at the same time. We jumped in at Interlaken, which is in our opinion one of the coolest urban swimming experiences in all of Europe. After swimming, we stopped for some quick to-go pizza and hit the hay early, exhausted from our day traveling.
For our first full day in Switzerland, we originally planned to explore Zurich. But with the sun shining and a heat wave in full swing, we decided to swap days and head to Stoos Mountain for a hike and ride on the world's steepest funicular. After a scenic hour-long drive, we arrived at the base of Stoos Mountain and used our Swiss half-fare card to purchase discounted tickets for the peak experience.
If you are traveling to Switzerland, we recommend looking into the Swiss Travel Pass or Swiss half-fare card. For most travelers, we found the half-fare card offers the best value, though the Swiss Travel Pass might be worth it for some of its convenience. We boarded the barrel-shaped funicular and were so impressed by the way the cabins rotated to keep us perfectly level as we climbed the steep slope. We thoroughly enjoyed the ride with the beautiful scenery and technology seamlessly blending together in true Swiss fashion.
At the top, we transferred to a cable car and rode it to the summit. Sitting in the open air with the sun shining was the perfect way to kick off our adventure. After the cable car, we began the Stoos Ridge hike, which is a 3-mile trail that is littered with adorable cows and offers sweeping views of the nearby lakes and mountain ranges. After around 2.5 hours, we reached Fronalpstock. While there, we had lunch with panoramic views of Lake Lucerne before making our way back down and taking a 2-hour drive to the next part of our adventure, Grindelwald.
After checking into our hotel, we explored the storybook-like town of Grindelwald and capped off the day with delicious Swiss fondue. After our first full day, Jason and I were blown away by the natural beauty surrounding us everywhere we went, and we couldn't wait to experience what the rest of the country had to offer. We woke up to clouds and thick fog that completely covered the towering mountains of Grindelwald. Hoping to escape the weather, we decided to drive 30 minutes to St. Beatus Cave. As we arrived, we were immediately struck by the beautiful waterfall and dramatic entrance, which was reminiscent of Rivendell from Lord of the Rings. Even if you skip the cave, it's worth stopping just to see the falls. After admiring the waterfall, we took the 0.6-mile path through the cave, passing underground waterfalls, stalactites, and stalagmites. It was a super cool way to explore and stay dry.
After St. Beatus Cave, we headed back to Grindelwald for one of Switzerland's most famous excursions, the top of Europe at Jungfraujoch. With the fog predicted to clear, we were hopeful for glacier views at the top of the Sphinx Observatory. As we were about to leave, Rachel unfortunately got hit with a wave of first trimester pregnancy sickness and no longer felt up to going. To make matters worse, as I rode the gondola up, the surrounding mountains quickly disappeared behind all of the clouds and fog. Just when I thought this excursion might be a bust and my 100 francs were wasted, we climbed above the fog and the views from the top were absolutely breathtaking. Dare I say, the contrast between the glacier peaks and the sea of clouds below made it even more breathtaking. While at the top, I went through the Discovery Tour, which took me through a 3D cinema and Alpine sensation before bringing me to the stunning Ice Palace. I was blown away by the sheer size of the palace and the little intricacies that were carved into the sculptures. For me, this may have been the highlight of the entire excursion. While the excursion is definitely expensive, it was a super cool experience and felt worth it with the Swiss half-fare card. Afterwards, I met up with Rachel for a quick dinner before calling it a night, excited for our next full day exploring the Jungfrau region.
For our 4th day in Switzerland, we set out to experience the breathtaking Grindelwald Fierce mountain summit. Again a bit worried as the gondola took us straight into the fog and clouds, we were relieved when we got to the summit and we were above the clouds, and it was stunning. At the top, we walked along the cliff walk, which was super cool and a bit nerve-wracking in the best way. After the cliff walk, we set off on a 2-mile, mostly flat hike to Bachalpsee Lake. While the lake was beautiful, the highlight for us was on the hike seeing the adorable dairy cows. With their cowbells echoing throughout the valley and towering mountains above the clouds, it truly felt like we stepped into a fairy tale. After our hike, we opted to ride the mountain carts. Unfortunately, they took us right down into the fog, but regardless, it was still a blast to ride down the mountain.
After riding the carts, we took in the views a bit more before heading to the next part of our adventure, Lauterbrunnen. Said to be one of the towns that most influenced Tolkien when writing The Lord of the Rings, we couldn't wait to experience this idyllic town for ourselves. Our first stop was Staubbach Falls, one of Europe's tallest free-falling waterfalls. Towering nearly 1,000 feet above the town, it's visible from almost everywhere in Lauterbrunnen. While there, we took a short but steep hike that leads to a viewpoint behind the falls.
While the hike was fun, the real magic came from simply seeing the falls as the backdrop to the picturesque town of Lauterbrunnen. After exploring the town and soaking in the peaceful ambiance, we agreed that Lauterbrunnen was beautiful, though not necessarily more so than Grindelwald or some of the other small villages we passed. That said, we learned that in the spring and early summer, the valley comes alive with up to 72 cascading waterfalls, which could make it even more spectacular. We turned in early that night, excited for what might be the most anticipated activity of our vacation.
We woke up with anticipation for what was probably the most exciting and nerve-wracking activity of our trip, paragliding. We headed to Interlaken early that morning, where I met my pilot, Res, and hopped in a van to drive to the launch site at over 4,000 feet above sea level. At the launch site, we set up our gear and got to watch others take off, which definitely got the nerves going. After about 10 minutes, it was finally our turn.
You good?
Yep.
We walk a little bit more to the left, not straight down, maybe a little bit. Yeah, like this, that's cool.
Perfect.
Good? Okay.
Good.
3, 2, and go. Walking, leaning forward. Keep on walking and running at least. Nice one.
It is hard to describe the exact feeling of paragliding, but it felt like I was floating and was surprisingly peaceful and almost dreamlike. If you ever get the chance to experience this for yourself, I cannot recommend it enough. It was truly one of my all-time travel highlights. Pretty wonderful. Wow.
After paragliding, we explored Interlaken a bit more before heading to Lake Thun for lunch by the water. Staring out at the vibrant turquoise lake, we couldn't resist heading to a nearby beach park to just cool off with a quick swim. After our swim, we drove just over 30 minutes to Bern, the capital of Switzerland. Set along the Aare River, Bern blends medieval charm with a laid-back local vibe. We wandered the cobblestone streets, took in the sandstone buildings and red rooftops, and made a quick stop at Bear Park before heading to Freibad Marzili for a true local experience of floating the Aare River.
Once again, this was incredibly refreshing and super fun. We were pleasantly surprised by how strong the current is and how quickly we were pushed downriver. After soaking up the sun, we made an hour drive to Montreux, where we would be exploring the next day. While our time in Bern was short, we absolutely loved the stop and both agreed that it was a city we'd love to return and explore more slowly someday.
For our 6th day in Switzerland, we set out to explore Romandy, the French-speaking region of the country. Known for its sweeping vineyards, delicious food, and one of Europe's largest lakes, we couldn't wait to experience it for ourselves. We started with a walk along the lakeside promenade in Montreux, enjoying the beauty of the city nestled along Lake Geneva. After exploring for a bit, we boarded a boat to take us on a tour around Lake Geneva for panoramic views of the French Alps and picturesque lakeside towns. We had originally planned to stop and explore the medieval Chillon Castle, Switzerland's most visited historical monument, but a slow morning meant we didn't have time. If you're in the area longer, we've only heard great things about exploring the castle. After our relaxing boat ride, it was unfortunately already time to say bye to Romandy. Like Bern, though our visit was short, we loved the elegant and laid-back vibe of this region, and again would love to come back someday. From Montreux, we drove about 2 hours southeast to Zermatt and hit the hay early, excited for what would be the longest hike of our trip the next day.
The next morning, unfortunately, Rachel's pregnancy nausea hit hard again, and so she sent me out on my own with plans to meet up later that day when she was feeling better. A bit bummed to be setting off solo, I headed to Gornegrot Bahn, a cogwheel railway that climbs to one of the most iconic Matterhorn viewpoints. Growing up seeing photos of the Matterhorn and riding the Disneyland ride, I couldn't wait to see the real thing in person. Thankfully, it didn't take long before the train rounded the corner and the Matterhorn came into view with its jagged snow-capped peaks rising above the landscape. Little clouds often drift over the summit as the day goes on, and so we'd recommend going early to increase your chances of catching a clear view. At the summit of the railway, I took in the views of the surrounding glaciers and alpine peaks and then began my hike down. Gornegrot has a variety of trails at different lengths and difficulty levels, all with incredible views of the Matterhorn. After chatting with a local at the top, I learned about the Valais black-nosed sheep that roam the mountain in the summer, and that you can track them online by searching Meet the Sheep Gornegrot. With their location marked on the map, I set off from Rodenboden station towards Riefelop. My first stop was just a 10-minute walk to Riefelsee Lake. This lake is known for its mirror-like reflection of the Matterhorn. Thanks to its easy access from the train station, we'd say this is a must-stop when on Gornegrot Mountain. From there, I continued about a mile to Riefelberg for lunch. The trail passed through wildflowers and cotton grass with the Matterhorn constantly in view. After recharging with lunch, I set off to find the black-nosed sheep. I definitely took a few wrong turns, but wandering alone through the quiet trails and panoramic viewpoints turned out to be surprisingly serene and a definite highlight of the trip for me. Eventually, I found the sheep, which I can confidently say were even more adorable in person. After some time with them, I hiked down to Rieflop and caught the train back to Zermatt. Though the day certainly didn't go as planned, it ended up being deeply grounding, giving me a space to reflect on the things I want more of in life and the things I want less of. Moments like these remind me that travel rarely goes perfectly, but embracing the unexpected is often what makes it so meaningful.
The next morning, we set out to wrap up our time in Zermatt with a visit to Europe's highest mountain station before setting off on what many would consider one of the most beautiful drives in the world. We began by boarding the Matterhorn Glacier Paradise cable car, a 40-minute ride with yet another round of stunning views of the Matterhorn. At the top, we took in panoramic views of 14 glaciers across Switzerland, France, and Italy before heading into the Ice Palace. It was my first time in one, and it did not disappoint. The sculptures were amazing, and the ice slide, while a bit painful, was surprisingly fun.
After a quick lunch, we made our way back down the mountain and started the next part of our adventure. Zermatt truly was special, and might just have been my favorite place in all of Switzerland. For the next part of our trip, we set off to explore the Italian-speaking Ticino region. Known for its romantic Mediterranean vibe, slower lifestyle, and delicious Italian food, we could not wait to experience it for ourselves. To get there, we drove through the iconic Furka Pass, a winding Alpine route often ranked among the most scenic drives in the world. We weren't sure what to expect, but it ended up being one of the most breathtaking drives we've ever taken.
After arriving in Locarno, we spent the evening walking along the lake, soaking in the warm air and the slower pace of life. We sat down for a delicious Italian dinner, followed by some of the best gelato we have ever had. It was incredibly refreshing to experience what felt like a different country, as the language, food, and culture had all changed. We have said it before that change really is a seasoning of life, and this was another great reminder of that.
With only one day to explore this region, we woke up early and started with a walk through downtown Locarno, stopping at the Piazza Grande to take in the city sights and do a bit of shopping. From there, we made our way to Ascona, where we strolled along the waterfront and soaked in the charm and romantic atmosphere of the town.
After leaving Locarno, we drove south to what many consider one of Switzerland's most beautiful villages, Morcote. Tucked along the edge of Lake Lugano, this picturesque town felt like a hidden gem. We enjoyed a beautiful lunch here along the water before making a quick stop at Swiss Miniature. This open-air museum is filled with 130 miniature models of Switzerland's most iconic landmarks.
After the museum, we headed up the canyon to La Vertezzo to take a dip in the beautiful turquoise Verzasca River. This was the perfect way to cool off after a hot day exploring the various villages, and was honestly one of our favorite swimming spots ever. The crystal clear water, smooth stone slabs, and historic surroundings made it feel almost unreal. To cap off the day, we made one final stop at the Bellinzona castles before making our way back to Zurich. It was definitely a whirlwind trying to fit so much into one day, but we absolutely loved it. And like so many other places in Switzerland, we left wishing we had more time to explore the region.
For our final day in Switzerland, we set out to finally explore Zurich, a city known for its high quality of life, historic charm, and the famous Lindt chocolate factory. Our main goal was to tour the Lindt Factory. Tickets sell out weeks in advance, and we had only looked into booking tickets that week, so we ended up booking a guided Zurich tour that included entry into the chocolate factory. We spent the morning walking through the city, learning about Zurich's history with stops at Lake Zurich, Old Town, and the city's wealthiest neighborhood.
We then boarded a Lake Zurich boat cruise that took us to the chocolate factory. Even after 10 days in Switzerland, the color of the glacier-fed lakes continued to amaze us. While the promise of unlimited chocolate tasting initially drew us in, the entire Lindt tour exceeded our expectations. Through visual displays, scent experiences, and hands-on stations, we got to follow the journey of chocolate from bean to bar, all inside the factory. We ended our trip to Switzerland with a final stop in Lucern for dinner and some final sightseeing.
As we took in all the sights on our final night, we found ourselves once again reflecting on our incredible experiences in this beautiful country. As we say, travel is truly a privilege. Throughout our time in Switzerland, we were struck by how effortlessly nature is woven into everyday life. From river pools in the heart of the city to cable cars reaching remote peaks, the outdoors isn't just an escape, it's part of a daily routine. It left us inspired to find more ways to bring nature into our own lives, not as a destination, but as a constant presence.
Despite the trip not going completely as we expected, we thoroughly enjoyed our time and consider Switzerland to be one of the most beautiful countries that we have ever visited. As always, if you have the opportunity to visit Switzerland and experience all that it has to offer for yourself, we would highly recommend it. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it would really help us out if you gave it a like and subscribed. We have tons more travel content we're excited to show you, and as always, we hope you have an amazing day.
Okay.